work at this time. It's 3 pages in it. We did discuss, I'll discuss what we discussed. The potential of starting a street committee, in the very near future, which Shayla was a part of. So we're gonna have to go back to the drawing board on that. But that committee would zone in on just street issues. And it's kind of a result of not needing all 3 of us on the planning and zoning, now that you've got the commission and everything together. So that's still a list. I don't know if Ted has any interest in that or not, to replace Sheila. And then we talked about potentially a resident sitting in as a part of that committee as well. Basically looking at the priority of street projects and what we feel we can afford to do next and whatever. It wouldn't require a whole lot of work at this point because, you know, we do have some, I was provided with a list of the streets and the ratings of those streets. I'm not prepared at this time to go over that, but I did request that and I did receive that. So that's good to have that so that we know what the streets are rated. The JMA update, we're not going to do that. Apparently it's going to hold off for the next meeting. But we did talk about JMA in committee. We also talked about the potential of a cost of living increase for employees, having a more thorough outline of how we're going to handle performance reviews and the like. And it was,
there is a ordinance on it.
right, and it was decided by the committee that we would potentially give a 3% increase across the board to most employees, with the exception of you. Because the last salary increase was given 2 years ago, I believe. So this 3% at this time is just a cost of living across the board increase to all employees with the exception of Mr. Habig. Council people don't get it either.
Yeah, I put that in there.
Yeah. Yes, so we did talk about that. We will be looking at that ordinance right here. And then there's gonna be further work in the next 6 months on, actually scales for each position, pay scales that a person could fall in under depending on their years of service and their performance reviews. We did talk about, potential fire levy. That's in discussion right now. Currently, it was just a discussion. No business was made. They talked about a possible committee being formed to deal with the various levies. Finalizing the gazebo, discussion was talked about in the meeting, potentially $27,000 final cost. I don't know if that's changed. 29, okay. The COVID fund balance, which we just discussed. Municipal building maintenance, there's some issue up on the roof. I know that was going to be looked into to see what, if anything, needs to be done. Flat roof, apparently there's a leak that goes down to the basement, correct? Or the back room?
The back room. And I have spoke to Sergeant Collins to get in tomorrow to try.
Take a look at the extent of that. It is a flat roof. I don't know what's all involved, but it is a flat roof. And we did have that roof service when I was the clerk. So I know it's been over 10 years, but we did have work done on that when I was the clerk. So I remember that. And then there was a park update, which I think Kevin covered a lot of that right now. We do have to reappropriate some money for the park. Their revenue has exceeded the original appropriation. So we will appropriate additional money I guess, is there an ordinance about that in here? And the committee, finance committee approved, the salary increase for 3% across the board. And I think we approved everything, really. The park, and I apologize, I didn't get a look at this until today, so I wasn't 100% prepared. I would like to suggest in the future that this can be sent to me as soon as it's done, so I can kind of come prepared next time.
We'll take care of that best we can. I think 3 committee meetings and her having less than a week is
Yeah,
cumbersome.
I understand.
We'll do the best we can to get
I
it to
just-
you.
Yeah, that's fine, I just didn't have a whole lot to,
I understand.
absorb 3 pages of these.
Absolutely.
So I guess that covers it. Was organized, and I apologize for that.
Well, since this came right out of here, I'm gonna make a suggestion to expedite this tab, because you've got just mentioned the Parks Fund, you also mentioned 3%. Maybe we can move on those things. Because me, since it's a recommendation coming from committee, that's where these things should come from anyhow. It's from the committees themselves. So we have ordinance, number 11, 2024, and that is the 3%. And so I'm asking whether or not you guys are ready to take that up at this point. Are you ready to continue to move along?
What is the number on that?
This is actually ordinance number 19, motion to approve ordinance number 11, 2024, increasing the salary of all village employees, including council members and the village administrator by 3% of their current pay. And I believe that included, I think that included the water department also, right? My memory serves me correct.
Yeah, I didn't get.
There you go.
It's been several years since our employees have received an increase, so we felt that it was important that they receive something while we get our act together in terms of providing good job descriptions, good scale of potential increases, in some cases, job titles. And didn't seem fair to make all employees wait for that process to be completed in the proper manner. So it was suggested that we consider a 3% salary increase for all village employees effective at the beginning of the next pay period. With, I think there were a couple exceptions, right?
Justin was the exception. I think there may have been one involving a part-time help, but I don't remember what that was about.
What about our fiscal officer and our clerk?
It addresses all employees, like you said, the council, myself, and other contracted employees.
Okay,
I'll just place some discussion. I mean, I'm ready to vote yes, because I already did so. But to lay some detail on it, I know Linda has mentioned that there's a bigger process here. It seems to be very well considered by our new administrator. You said the word pay scales already, but to where the major corrections need to happen, or where they need to happen a little bit less, would be handled by formalizing job descriptions and the pay scales that go with them, making sure people are in the proper job description, making sure that there's a chance for promotion upon performance, and so forth. So some of our more longer standing issues about right pay, or at least right pay, will be addressed in a longer process. But as for this, it is a stopgap measure. It is probably still inadequate, but we want it as a sign of good faith with our employees who are fantastic for us. Because it's covering 2 years where inflation has probably exceeded 3% in probably each of those years. Um, So it's my hope that that was attractive to council. And I just wanted to try to instill a little bit more confidence in the longer process, probably for the benefit of our employees that we're working on it. We want to get it right.
Any other comments from council? If we're going to act on this, then we're going to have to, once again, suspend the rules. We have a motion to suspend the rules for, read by title only, ordinance number 11-2024.
Can I ask a question real quick
Yeah, go ahead.
of our solicitor? There is no emergency wording on this ordinance, does that matter?
No, it suspended the rule to vote on it and make it go into effect. If suspend the rule for, then
Okay, gotcha. Okay, I'm sorry.
So do I have a motion to suspend the rules of ordinance number 11-2024?
Motion.
A second.
I have to wait a second. We have a
I would also like us to propose potentially having a 5-minute break after 2 hours
yes.
and then coming back to order.
Yeah,
Means tonight or in general?
And in general, any meeting that we have, 2 hours, a 5-minute break, and then continue. We have 1 meeting a month, so these meetings are going to be more than 2 hours.
I will also schedule an intermission.
Yeah, will you do that? Thank you, I appreciate it.
I think that's a great idea.
As I pranced to the restroom before, on TV.
that's very good. So we have a motion, I lost track here, motion to suspend the rules by, who made the first motion? Kevin, and who seconded, who seconded? And Dave,
One flush is yay, 2 flushes nay.
you got money.
we have a motion on the floor, is there any further discussion about suspending the rules? No further discussion, go ahead and call the roll, Kevin, please.
Mr. Burns,
Yes.
Mr. Walters,
One flush.
Ms. Bolton,
So we have,
That's a yes.
Ms. Bolton,
Nay.
and Mr. Babel.
yes, motion passes 4-0. Now we need a motion to, vote on ordinance number 11-2024.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bolton, do I have a second?
Second, I would clarify that the motion is to approve the ordinance, not to vote on it.
Yeah.
Second. Second by Mr. Walters. I've lost track. Any further discussion? Would you call the roll, Peg?
Mr. Burns,
Yes.
Mr. Walters,
Yes.
Ms. Bolton.
Yeah.
Mr. Babel.
Yes.
All right, so it passes 4-0, ordinance number 11-2024. And Mr. Burkle has suggested, since we spent a long time discussing, the zoning commission, that we go on to address the voting ordinance on it. Is there any objection to that from council?
Point of order.
Go ahead. No, oh. Yes, go ahead and read it.
Ordinance 9/2024, ordinance to establish a conditional zoning variance for property located at 108, 110 Common.
So everybody has a copy of that out in the audience, and they have a copy here at council. We would need a motion to, suspend the rules again, on ordinance number
Ordinance 9/2024.
9-2024.
Take the motion. But before you do that, one question on the text. And I do apologize to everyone. One of the clauses says that it has to be for the stated trade. I didn't find it exactly. We never state what it is, just that it's currently auto body.
That's the stated trade, please auto body.
Does it need to be any clearer what a trade is versus what the name of the business is, or like, does the fact that it's Leaves Auto Body establish what's going
What
on?
is the business organized as, if you're incorporated?
I would have to look at it, it's body shop. And the collision restoration repair.
I mean, you could look there, the name of it, obviously, I mean, it's not a bakery, I mean, but you want that word in there. So the negotiations and the car storage and the fact that you're waiting on parts to fix cars, but if we wanna stay in the can.
Is it worth just inserting for commercial purposes associated with the current trade of auto repair? So I would make that 3-word amendments in number 3 in the contractual agreement. Okay. I don't know if I contributed here. Thank you for hearing.
You want to change it now, or? I don't know.
You can have my copy back if you need another copy.
I'll write it in, and I'll do it. Because I said it, I can get out there.
I'll make a motion to suspend rules. Motion made by Mr. Walters to suspend the rules for ordinance 9-2024. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Bolton. Any further discussion? No discussion, would you call the roll?
Mr. Burns, Mr. Walters,
Yes.
Ms. Bolton,
Yes,
Mr. Babel.
Yeah.
Vote passes 3-0. Now we need to go with a motion to approve it.
We'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 9/2024 as amended and agreed upon by council with those additions to line number 3. Current trade.
And did you get that down in the minutes?
Yes.
And Rob, you'll make the changes. Sure. Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Walters. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Bolton. Any further discussion? Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Burns,
Yes.
Mr. Walters,
Yes.
Ms. Bolton,
Yes,
Mr. Babel.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0. Mr. Walters, you want to do your zoning?
I want to be real brief here, of essence of time, if I